I'm Karin Hurt, and we're here with our next edition of Asking for a Friend Live. And we are going to be joined by Dr. Bob Nelson, who has a great new book out on having fun at work. And we all know this has been a real challenge over the last 18 months. So welcome to the show, Dr. Bob.
Thank you, Karin.
So I'd love to start because I loved your book. It was so full of really practical examples. I was looking at all these different ways to do fun, but I'd really like to start with where you start in the book. And you talk about the importance of doing this right. And so you have some do's and don'ts. So could you ground us with some of your do's? What are some things when you're thinking about having fun at work? Where do you start?
Well, it starts with the individual in your head. You can't wait around for someone else to do a fun thing. You gotta have the spirit. You gotta bring it to the game, to your own work. And if you're part of a group, to the group. So I would certainly say it's okay to have fun and have permission. Give people permission. Someone wrote me and said, "What I love about your books is you feel like you're a friend giving you permission to do the right thing." And so get in the game. Try something. It's okay if it doesn't work because you can learn from that. If it does work, do more of it. Or better yet, pull someone else into the game and say, "Hey, how about next week you do something?" And brainstorm, prioritize, do the top thing. That's kind of learn from what you do. Those are the getting into the game ideas. The biggest thing not to do is don't put someone on the spot. Don't have fun at someone else's expense. So we're not real big on pranks, for example, because those are usually funny for like 2 seconds, and then someone's really mad, and
Yeah.
you have to deal with that. So
yeah, you talk about, not mandating fun. And I was thinking about all the years of my career where I have an example. There was this karaoke thing that was happening. And I am quite a singer. I love to sing. Jared knows I love to sing. So does Jared. But, there was this karaoke that was happening at an event after the meeting. And one of my peers wanted to get up and sing, "You've got to fight for your right to party," which I didn't think was particularly good for my brand. But my boss was like, "You're not being a team player because you're not getting up there and singing that song with her." And I'm like,
oh boy,
right? That's like forced fun. So
yeah, exactly. Forced fun doesn't tend to work, and yet people do it a lot of times, executives, and that's I think having someone speak with them, like maybe after, and say, "Hey, I felt uncomfortable," and give them an alternative. What would have been a better way? Who else would like to join so and so? And not just me, but maybe other people. Let's all get up there.
Right.
And of course, maybe he could help lead the charge.
Right. I noticed he was not singing that song. Yes. All right. So let's talk about what if your boss is anti-fun. Like,
yes.
Do you find, you must have people writing to you all the time. Like, I am a fun person. I'd like to be fun, but my boss is a real jag. What do you do?
Yeah. Well, there's different approaches. The one I tend to do is do it. Don't ask for permission. Just do it. And then, if he has a problem with it, then talk about it. But you have to be who you are at work. And if you're constantly constrained by the person you report to, the longer term view is to show him that it makes a difference. Show him or her that it makes a difference, and that's usually, you can even give them. We have in the book studies and results. For example, the best places to work in America, the 100 best companies. One of the things they have most in common is that 82% of employees at those companies say it's a fun place to work. So and at the companies that apply but don't make the list, it's only 62%. So that's the biggest differential of any variable that they look at in selecting those companies. So I think that sends a pretty big message that you got to have fun while you're working. It used to be, work and you're paid to work, and and do fun stuff, play on the weekend, and that's all gone to the wayside over the last decade or two, that our lives have merged. And now people increasingly, where they're spending the bulk of their waking hours, they expect to have a fun life as well and enjoy who they're with and who they're serving and the mission they're accomplishing. That's very natural. And if you don't do that, then you're not going to get the best you could get from people. So sometimes leaders don't see that, but you can make the case to them. You can experiment. You could say, let's try it for a month. Let's try it for 3 months. See how it works. Just ask people if they value that. So the best data is what comes from your own group. And if the team all says, yeah, I really want to do this, and you say, hey, it helps us make our goals. And that's evidence, is that as people enjoy their work, they're more there for you at work, and more there to help others on the team, and more there to help the customer. So that's what tends to happen. And again, a lot of or you can just find examples that your boss would be willing to support. So maybe he wouldn't support A, but he would do B. So no, we can't do that. He's uncomfortable with that, or corporate might object about that, but we could do this. Okay, let's try that then.
Nice. You talk about some very specific ways that you can make your own fun. And, I was laughing at the one, I think I'm going to do this. You're like, use the sticky notes, put your tasks on the sticky notes, and when you accomplish something, throw it across the room into the trash can. I'm like, that would make me feel like I was making some forward momentum on some of these really hard days.
Yeah. And those are all ideas that from people that actually use them. And that kind of makes that person said, well, it's more visceral to crumple up paper than it is to delete something on your computer. That's kind of so. I believe strongly in finding ways that work for you. So you have there's a technique that's, you got something you want to do, set the timer for 20 minutes, see how fast you can get it over with, or when I get blocked, I'll talk to somebody, talk it through with a friend or a spouse, and that helps to free me. And there's music is a great one. And whether it's earbuds, or someone told me, I have in the book, that Yo-Yo Ma did a live concert for 8,000 people. He played for 3 hours straight, box for the cello, and he only took one quick break in the middle of it. He played from memory. And someone said, when I listen to that, I just feel like God's hands are moving through him, and it's just unbelievable. And so I play that when I'm working on something, and it gives more meaning to the work I'm doing.
Oh, nice.
And I got off the phone with and I tried it. She was right. It's free. It's on the internet. It's 2015. He did this live concert, and it's incredible music. And if you have that while you're working, no matter what you're working on, you feel more meaning and purpose in what you're doing. That's a great trick.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I am not somebody who can listen to music at all when I'm working, but I know
unless it's you singing, right?
Right, exactly. Now, singing at work. I have been known to sing at work many, many times. One of my favorite things to do when I had the really big teams, like with thousands of people, when we would bring people together, we would make up the words, new words to old songs that everybody knew, but the words were all relevant to our business priorities.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah, so that was super fun. And I was laughing because when I left Verizon to start Let's Grow Leaders, my assistant called me, and she, from a couple of programs, a couple of jobs I'd had before, she's like, what do you want me to do with this closet full of boxes labeled Karin Hertz wigs? And I mean, I had so many wigs that I would give to my team for whatever we were doing these shows. So yeah, the fun at work, singing at work, all good.
Well, I worked with the California Pension Society, managed $7 billion of funds for California public employees and teachers and whatnot. And they were a very, very tight group. And they thought, hey, we're using our fiduciary funds. We can't be buying pizzas with this. It's like, and I got them a list of, took some time, but I went to other federal, state, and local governments. I found things that they were doing, the legislative authority they had to do it, the results they got, and contact information. And they took it into a board meeting. They came out and said, okay, we're going to do it. And so it loosened them up. And one of the things we did was we got the top management to do a music video.
Nice.
And it was just off the chart. People loved it. They loved it. It was fun and crazy, but it helped break the staid environment they got themselves into. I would interview employees there and just very stressful jobs and said, what gets you through this job? This is a terrible job you're doing. And they'd say, well, it's a customer. I help someone help them understand or help them through a crunch. And I go, well, gosh, if the customer is helping bring the employee up, wouldn't it be great if the person's manager would do the same, And so you kind of find a path to get people thinking and talking. In many ways, all we have to work with is conversations. So start having the conversations that will lead in the change that is more exciting for you.
Yeah, very, very nice. So in a moment, I'm going to come back to some specific examples and ask you about that, particularly in a remote environment. But it looks like we've got some folks chiming in here. Patrick, music is something that definitely helps me get through your day. Great. I'm so glad that works. Dave Gregory, glad you're here, Dave. Attitude is so important to a willingness to have fun. How do you get a team started who feel the job is too stressful? And so that's such an important question, Dave, because the fun can be in such contrast to if you're really in a heavy period of time, but you probably need it more than ever.
Yeah, I'd say work it into your processes. So I'm a big believer in starting meetings. If it's in person or even the Zoom meeting, you could start with something fun. I've had groups where we say, hey, let's start with a joke each time, and who wants to do it next week? And everyone does it. And even if someone's not good at it, they got a week to practice.
Right.
And then even if it's not a good joke, we still laugh. It was still kind of a bonding thing, or have people share information about themselves. Or another great thing, if you've never done it, and you could do this on Zoom, is a praise barrage. A praise barrage is a very simple activity. Say, hey, before we get into our agenda, I want to just go around the group. And as I call someone's name, I like everyone else to call out things that they most value about that, working with that person. 100% positive. Let's start with Gary. Okay, let's go to Sally. And 5-10 minutes later, everyone has gotten real feedback from the people they work with about the things that they do well. And whatever you call them out for, one, they feel great from that. And whatever they were called out for, they're going to do even more of, because what gets recognized gets repeated. And so if Gary was, you're so quick to jump in and help out without being asked, he's going to be even better now that you called it out.
Yeah.
So it's a very cool activity. If you're in person, you can do index cards and have people write thank you notes to others in the group that they owe thank yous for. You get 4 or 5 thank yous from people. It's going to make you feel great, and you get practical feedback as well.
I love it. Yeah. And Dave said a praise barrage can be very fun. And it's funny because we're heading into an offsite with an executive team in November, and we are thinking about ways to do exactly that. So that you had some really great insights in the book there. So
or having people share ways they like to. I've done thousands of talks around the world, and a lot of times on recognition, I wrote 1,001 Ways to Reward Employees. And a lot of times I'll start with activities. Hey, think of a time that you felt good. You were excited about coming to work, that you're excited about what you're doing. What happened to give you that feeling? What was said or done? Who was involved? And talk to next to your neighbor about it. And all the times I've done that, no one mentions money.
Right.
Maybe they'll mention a promotion if it happened the day before, but usually 99% of the things that come up are simple, thoughtful gestures by those that they work with, their manager or coworkers, that an email, a note, a comment in front of the team, very simple stuff. And already you can see, well, that's the stuff that works, So,
right.
Don't say we got to have we can't do anything because we don't have this huge budget. It's like, start with what you got, and you'll get farther than you thought.
Yeah.
And if it does work, then you can always, lobby for some budget because it's working, and just don't do the same old things over and over. We have a technical term for that. We call it boring. So the holiday party, and then something on people's birthday. Whoever has a birthday, this month we've got a cake in the in the conference room at noon. It's like a snoozer. It's if you do the same thing for everything, it doesn't feel special to anyone.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is, people like to be seen for what they feel good about, right? People like to be seen, the element of surprise, mixing things up. So David is saying, I'm wondering how you bring your Eeyores into the fun. Lots of depression, mental health issues are going on right now. So people are genuinely feeling down. What do you do there?
The biggest motivator there is listening, so if someone, I think it's okay to say you seem really down today. Is it what's up? And maybe not in front of a group, but emailing them after and calling them afterwards and say, you didn't seem yourself. Is everything okay? And that's showing concern is pretty powerful, and just giving someone an ear to listen to, even if you don't offer any advice, is very powerful. So that's a good place to start. If it's well entrenched as part of their personality type, you have to be a little bit more aggressive in asking them not to bring the group down.
Yeah. And I think then it's okay also to not force them into the fun. It was interesting. I was working with a contact center, and this team leader came up to me after one of our trainings, and she said, I have this person on my team. Now her quality results are fantastic. Her productivity is fantastic. She's just great, but I have a real problem with her. And I said, well, what is the problem? Well, she doesn't like to, she's not a team player. I said, well, what do you mean she's not a team player? Does she not help people when they need advice, or does she not? Oh, no, she does that. But she doesn't join in to any of our little team building, like our parties, or like she won't come to eat the cake, or it doesn't matter. Let her go, right? Like, let her be who she is. If it's really? Not, to force her into that did not seem to make any sense to me.
Yeah, and I find sometimes when people have that feeling, it's because they had a bad experience once. Like I knew I was in a company where on staff meetings, we get everyone together, and then the CEO would kind of force people to talk, and this one person was very shy, and they hated it. They never came to another meeting after that. So that was good reason. Why want to come and she laid out her boundaries, and they were run over. So, next time you do it, she's going to quit.
Yeah. So one of the reasons I really wanted to have you on this show is that I'm getting so many people asking for ideas to mix things up in the virtual environment. How do you have fun virtually? So I'd love to hear some really specific, practical ideas that people can do in this virtual world to mix it up.
Sure. Well, there's a lot. I mentioned the praise barrage. You can, and really each time you meet is a chance to do something else. So if you have a pet, and most people have pets at home, introduce us to your pet. Give us a little tour of your house. I know companies that send everyone a kit. I know my wife's company, they're doing a virtual happy hour, and they just asked, do you want alcohol or non-alcohol? So she got non-alcohol as a box of snacks and stuff, and they were able to have a happy hour together. I've done with people that work for me remotely. I gave everyone a microwave popcorn maker, which is kind of cool. It's that folds up, and you don't need any oil, just some popcorn, and 30 seconds later you got a bowl of popcorn. And $9 at Walmart or wherever it was, and now we can all have popcorn together independently, And so those are some things, but anything that helps you learn more about others in the group is, I think, valid, because it brings the group closer together. I'm a senior fellow for the conference board, and we have these long, boring meetings that we started doing. Last one we did was let's go around the group, everyone share your favorite movie and why. It was kind of fun, and you find who else is likes mysteries or whatever, and you build connections in the group, and so it's a fun, it's a positive way to kick off. when I worked with ESPN, a manager there said, whenever we get together as a group, we always name 5 things that are going well. 5 things. And usually it's pretty easy, but sometimes it's not because things aren't going well. We never skip that step because that's our home room. It's our touchstone to give us the ability to take on the next challenge.
I love it.
That's very, very simple, very cool. I worked at NASA last fall. Whenever they get a group of leaders together, and it again could be virtual, they always save 10 minutes at the end of the meeting to go around the group to ask every leader to share something they've done to recognize someone else on their team since we last have been together. And you could just feel and see the pride of the group rise and the energy. And I noticed that people will take notes on each other's ideas in that case. And then they become a self-learning group to get better and better at whatever you're doing. And that's the ultimate goal, because you end up being a stronger team, doing things that are working best for your people.
Yeah, very, very nice. I think that the food delivery thing is especially if it's a surprise, can be great. So I have a client named David Graham who works at Amazon, and he asked to have a virtual coffee. Well, I didn't expect that I was going to get my own coffee, right? So the doorbell rings 2 hours before we're supposed to, and there is this beautiful box of pastries. And, he's like, did you well, we're going to have coffee. You need something to go with your coffee. And I will never forget. That was so nice, right? And so unexpected.
Yes.
So let's talk about some of your best stuff. I'd love to share. So Jared, if you pull up this, I have, as I mentioned, known for the wigs, known for the songs. This was one of my favorite fun moments at work. I was at Verizon and we were launching our first Android device. So that gives that's why I look so young in that picture. But we thought, well, let's go to all the stores in the region dressed like this. And this is my team. And you can imagine how much fun that was, not only for our customers, right? But also it really brought the team together. Although that Chewy suit got a little warm, but yeah. So what are some of your, like the very best of that you've seen?
Well, I like, off the wall stuff. It creates a story, at Yum Brands, at Kentucky Fried Chicken, they have a lot of companies have employees of the month, but for their employees of the month, they don't limit it to any one person. You have to if you do the clear criteria, which is demonstrating their core values, anyone that does it in a given month becomes an employee of the month. And then to celebrate that, they invite whoever plays a musical instrument to bring it to work. And they take, here's a tuba and a violin and a trumpet, and they ask those people, here's this month's, top performers, and they ask them to go serenade those people. So go around to their cubicle on 3, Louie, and it's just a blast. And it's been so successful that they started a higher level for higher level achievements. They hired a string quartet to come in and go around and serenade those people that made things happen. Very powerful.
Oh my gosh. And can you imagine that in a virtual environment? So then there's a marching band in your yard.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that's again with virtual. I'm always a believer of people have so much. We all have so much creativity if we can tap into it. So having the discussion and asking your group for ideas and seeing what they'd like to try is a great way to get going, because everyone has different perspectives. The biggest learning I had in pulling this book together with my co-author was that no two people have the same definition of fun, which kind of surprised me, because you asked me what's fun. Is, well, when you're laughing, you're having fun. You ask my wife that, she goes, well, it's fun if you had a good day, you got a lot done, and you feel good about yourself for the day. That was fun. I go, really? That's fun. But that's what works for her, and so I found it's very different for different people. So if you invite them in with what they find fun, you're going to get a whole smorgasbord of things and be able to appreciate in many different ways. And so it's a broad topic, like recognition. Recognition is another soft skill, and I wrote a book, 1,501 Ways to Recognize Employees, and it's I still get new ideas from people every day. It's like, oh my gosh. But initially, at the simple level, it's just thanking people. But beyond that, you can be very, very creative, even without a budget. 2/3 of the ideas in that book don't have any cost at all. And it's just being creative and open and trying things. And if it works, do it again. If it doesn't, how could it have been better?
Nice. So David's saying Friday fanatics. We asked the customer who's their favorite team competing on the weekend would be, and how they would celebrate with a win. We'd share responses and use it to build relationships with our customers. Oh, that's awesome, Dave. Thank you for sharing that. And then Lee says we spend a large portion of our life at work. Why not have fun doing it? Amen. So agree with that.
Absolutely.
And Dave, you had mentioned also about needing to make fun more of a process. And I really I'd love to hear, Bob, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, because I think that sometimes people say, well, I'm not good at that. And so therefore they don't do it. And making recognition a task, if you're a task person, making fun a process, if you're a process person, I think can be very, very important. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yes, I think it's very important to work it into your day, work it into your process, like I mentioned with the meetings. But to have every day is a different celebration. If you have a calendar that every day is a different, it's donut day, or it's happy Friday, but they most every day is claimed as some type of anniversary. So you can wrap around that. You can have crazy shirt day. You can do just almost anything. I was speaking in Seattle to 800 people, and this woman looked really familiar. I said, "Do I know you from somewhere?" She said, "Yeah, I heard you speak like 6 weeks ago, and I had to come back and tell you what happened." Well, what happened? She goes, "Well, I left the meeting with the determination that I'm doing this. I'm not going to ask permission. This is real. It's happening." And I think that's the best place to start right there, is saying, I'll beg forgiveness after the fact. And so I went back and started doing it. I said, "What'd you do?" She goes, "Well, I created a happiness committee. It had 5 people on it. No one knew who any of them were. It was anonymous, but any one of those 5 people could say, it's time to do something, because morale was lower, because we brought in a new client, whatever it was. That any one of them can say it's time to do something." Well, what would you do? Well, we had a picnic up on the roof downtown Seattle, the office we're in, or we swapped, we traded meeting space with the company on the next block that was a limo company that didn't have meeting space. It was them use our space once a month, and they give us free limo rides, and just very creative. Just and it made a difference. She got a buzz in her group, and then other people started noticing that. "What are you guys doing in your teams? You guys are like on fire." "Well, come to the next meeting. No secrets here." And it spread. And from that first conversation I had with that woman, who was a manager of the finance department of a law firm, Perkins Coie, 18 months later, they entered the best place to work in America, number 23.
Wow.
I would suggest from one person in the middle of the organization saying, "This is real, and we're going to start doing it, and it's going to organically grow."
I love it. And fun is contagious. When somebody comes up with an idea, and what I really want to reinforce is it does not need to cost a lot of money.
Absolutely.
One of my favorite examples during the pandemic was K-Force, who is one of our clients. They did a virtual prom. Now nobody's getting dressed up right these days. So you come and you wear your best outfits, and so David and I were doing training, and I wore a prom dress, right? And really super fun. So we're
Apple has a kazoo band. That when they say, "Hey, trot out the band," and we go over to that department, everyone plays kazoos. It's not hard to do this stuff, really.
That's fun. That is super fun.
Everyone didn't have to do that, but a lot of people want to get on board, be part of the kazoo band.
Who wouldn't, right?
They do another thing, that they have 5 core values that, integrity, teamwork, whatever. And when someone demonstrates that value, they give them a T-shirt with the word on it. And so integrity, so you're personification of integrity for our company, and people try to collect all the T-shirts, all the values.
Yeah.
Just,
All
just
right. We are at the top of the hour. I'm sure we could go on for hours with all of thousands of ideas that you have in your book. But tell us, can you just remind people of the name of your book and how they can find it?
It is Work Made Fun Gets Done. Easy ways to boost energy, morale, and results. I have a co-author, Mario Tamayo, is a very fun guy. We met. Get this, we were destined to do this book. We met at Walt Disney World.
Okay.
And
Very nice. And
and
it's and at the end of the book, you have a real good discussion guide. So it was talking about process, right? That
thank you. Yeah, to get into it with your team or your group, or how to, and also how to take it to upper management. I find often, they're looking at different things. They're looking at, outside the company and the competitiveness of the organization, the growth and stuff. So you've got to link it to what's important to them. So if you could tie anything, but especially a softer topic, to things that matter to them, the budget. And for example, if you create a culture of recognition, for example, research shows your employees will be 7 times more likely to stay with the company. Well, that's going to have a huge impact on you have to hire fewer people if more people stay.
Right. Yep.
So
So
very,
talking about
very
the
quickly,
ROI.
you can look at the cost of turnover, and you can say, hey, I think we could improve turnover 20% here in the next quarter if we try some of these things. You're on, and then show that it works. I worked with a hospital in Hartford, Connecticut, Hartford Hospital, and a nurse there took one of ideas from one of my books, did 3 things only. She was in charge of retention, focused on first-year nurses, which we have a huge shortage of nurses in our country right now, over 1 million short. But she did 3 things. It was the simplest of things. She, one, got people in the first 30 days a welcome letter. Why didn't they do that the first day? But they weren't doing it at all. So
Yeah.
first 30 days, at 60 days, they gave them a survey monkey on how could join the hospital have been easier, better. What could we do to help? And at 90 days, they got those people together with the head of nursing, and their only cost in the whole thing is they brought in a couple balloons and some muffins, and doing those 3 things helped them improve their retention by 20% of first-year nurses, which saved them $1.5 million.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like, what? And then if they did any of the things on the discussion, it got even better. So
that's great. So we are definitely out of time. So I want to thank you so much for joining us today on Asking for a Friend, and for all of your wonderful ideas.
Thanks for having me, Karen.
Okay, so want to just share with you a few little updates for Asking for a Friend. Now you can register and know in advance. So we'll start putting a link there. So that makes it easier for you to join us. We have a new Asking for a Friend LinkedIn newsletter. So if you're not subscribed to that, that's another opportunity to stay in tune with some of the important questions and answers that we're having here. And I'm looking forward to next time when we have Kurt Madden, who is fantastic. Not only is he a CEO, but he is a world champion ultra marathoner. Lots of great insights in terms of discipline and coaching, and how do you really stay persistent. So we have a fantastic talk with Kurt. He's very dynamic. Until next time, I will see you next time on Asking for a Friend.